My wife demanded, "Buy me a bigger house or we're over." I said, "No problem." Then I took back the keys to the one she was living in. Her humiliation. When the realtor asked her to vacate, what would you have done if you were in my shoes that day? Share your thoughts below, and if you enjoy stories like this, a like and subscribe would mean so much. Now let me take you back to where it all began. My name is Ethan Walker. I'm 39 years old, a construction business owner living in Denver, Colorado. For the better part of 2 decades, I've built houses for other people, strong, steady homes that families could grow into. Ironically, the house I built for my own family has become the stage for its collapse. My wife's name is Samantha. She's 35, sharp-tongued, and undeniably beautiful. We met 9 years ago at a corporate charity gala where she worked in public relations. Back then, she was charming, radiant, the kind of woman who could light up a room. I thought I had struck gold when she agreed to marry me. Together, we bought a modest but spacious 2-story home just outside the city. I paid for it in full from the profits of my business before we were even married. That house was supposed to be our foundation. For a while, it was. We welcomed our son, Caleb, who's now 6 years old and obsessed with Legos and dinosaurs. I remember nights of carrying him on my shoulders through the backyard I landscaped myself. Samantha laughing as she filmed us on her phone. Back then, everything felt picture perfect. But perfection has an expiration date when one partner decides it isn't enough. Over the last 2 years, Samantha's attitude shifted. She stopped being satisfied with family dinners and Sunday mornings at the park. Instead, her life revolved around Instagram reels and brunches, with friends who seemed more like competitors than companions. She began comparing everything we had with what other couples flaunted online. Bigger kitchens, gated communities, luxury cars in the driveway. Our own house, the one I had poured my sweat and savings into, suddenly became too small, too ordinary, embarrassing. I'd catch her scrolling real estate listings late at night, eyes shining at 7-figure mansions with marble staircases and infinity pools. Whenever I asked if we could actually afford something like that, she scoffed, "You own a construction company. Build bigger. Buy bigger. Or admit you can't." The last straw came during a dinner with friends. While wine glasses clinked and laughter floated around the table, Samantha leaned forward, her voice dripping with disdain. "Buy me a bigger house or we're over." She didn't whisper it privately. She announced it to everyone. The table went silent. I forced a smile, nodded once, and said, "No problem." What she didn't realize in that moment was that her ultimatum lit a fire in me. Not the kind she wanted. She believed she'd cornered me into giving her what she demanded. But all she had really done was expose the truth. This marriage wasn't about partnership anymore. It was about leverage. And I was done being leveraged. While Samantha strutted through our home as if it were already hers, dreaming of the mansion she thought was coming, I quietly started making plans of my own. Plans that would end with her greatest humiliation delivered right in front of her own family. The weeks after Samantha's ultimatum felt like living with a stranger. She walked through our house like it was a temporary rental, not the home where we'd brought Caleb home from the hospital, painted the nursery, and celebrated birthdays. She'd run her hand along the banister, shake her head, and mutter, "Cheap wood." Not what I pictured for us. One evening, I came home from work to find her hosting a brunch with 2 of her friends. The dining table, handcrafted oak, a piece I had built myself, was covered with glossy real estate brochures. One of her friends tapped the photo of a mansion with a swimming pool and said, "This one screams power couple." Samantha laughed, loud and proud, before replying, "That's the vibe I want." I'm sick of living like middle-class peasants. I froze in the hallway, Caleb's backpack still slung over my shoulder. He tugged at my sleeve, asking if he could show me the dinosaur he'd drawn in school. I forced a smile and nodded, leading him upstairs while my wife continued bad-mouthing the house that had been our sanctuary. It wasn't just the house. Samantha started spending more recklessly, too. Designer handbags showed up on our credit card statements. A diamond bracelet, she claimed, was an investment piece. She dismissed my concerns with a wave of her manicured hand. Relax, you make enough. And if you don't, then hustle harder. But what cut deepest wasn't the money. It was her attitude toward family. My parents, retired teachers who lived modestly, often visited to see Caleb. They loved our house because it symbolized everything they'd taught me: hard work, stability, and pride in what you've built. Samantha would plaster on a smile while they were around, but the moment they left, she'd sneer. Your mom's casserole dishes make this place feel like a trailer park. When we upgrade, we'll finally host in style. I began to notice Caleb picking up on the tension too. One night, after Samantha scolded me for not wearing a suit to dinner at a friend's mansion, Caleb whispered as I tucked him in, "Daddy, do we have to move?" I like our house. That one sentence nearly broke me, because for all her complaints, the house wasn't just bricks and wood. It was our son's home, his safe place. The final warning sign came at a family barbecue. My brother Marcus had just bought his first starter home with his fiancée. It wasn't big, but it was theirs, and he was proud. As we stood in his backyard grilling, Samantha loudly announced to the group, "Honestly, small houses depress me. I could never live like this. That's why I told Ethan, either buy me something better or I'm gone." Everyone went quiet. Marcus's smile faltered. My father shook his head. My mother's face fell. I swallowed hard, my jaw tight. I didn't argue with her in front of them. Instead, I filed away the moment as another nail in the coffin of this marriage. By then, I realized something important. Samantha wasn't going to stop until she got what she thought she deserved, but what she didn't understand was that I held the keys, literally and figuratively, and soon enough, I was going to use them. It didn't take long for Samantha's private digs to turn into a full-blown spectacle. What started as side comments in our kitchen spilled over into every gathering we attended. The breaking point came at a dinner hosted by her parents. They lived in an upscale neighborhood, nothing flashy but elegant, the kind of home built on steady savings and careful planning. As we sat around their polished mahogany table, Samantha twirled her wine glass and made her announcement. "Ethan knows the deal," she said, smiling sweetly as if we were sharing an inside joke. "Bigger house or this marriage ends. He promised me." Her mother gasped. Her father nearly dropped his fork. Across the table, Caleb looked up from his plate of mashed potatoes, eyes wide. I felt every pair of eyes turn toward me. My instinct was to keep calm, to smooth it over like I always did. But something inside me shifted that night. I met Samantha's gaze. "No problem," I said evenly. "I always keep my promises." Samantha smirked, mistaking my words for surrender. She leaned back in her chair triumphant, while her parents fumbled for a polite response. But the truth was, my mind was already working in overdrive. The next week, Samantha doubled down. She started showing Caleb mansion listings like they were bedtime stories. "Look at this pool, sweetheart. Don't you want to live somewhere with slides and fountains?" Caleb frowned. "I like my room here." But she brushed him off, insisting he'd thank her later. Even my employees noticed. One afternoon, she stormed into my office unannounced, designer sunglasses perched on her head, and waved a brochure in my face. "This one. 7 bedrooms, 3-car garage. Make it happen, Ethan." The men on my crew exchanged awkward glances as I calmly took the brochure, folded it in half, and set it on my desk. "We'll talk later." Samantha didn't lower her voice. "Later isn't good enough. Either you start building me the life I deserve, or I'll find someone who can." Her words echoed in the quiet office. That night, after Caleb went to bed, she cornered me in the living room. Her tone was sharp, almost taunting. "You think I won't leave? You think I don't have options? Prove me wrong, Ethan. Buy me the house or watch me walk out." I studied her carefully. She wasn't bluffing. Not because she truly meant to leave, but because she believed I was too afraid of losing her to call it. What she didn't realize was that she had already lost me. I nodded slowly, pretending to concede. If that's what you want, Samantha, then that's what you'll get. She smiled, satisfied, convinced she'd won. She had no idea the trap had already been set, because the house she was so proud to parade around in, the one she acted like a queen inside, it had always been in my name, and while she strutted, I had already called the realtor. The eviction clock was ticking. The confrontation reached its peak 2 weeks later. By then, Samantha had convinced herself that my refusal to buy her a bigger house was just a phase, that eventually I'd cave like I always did. She underestimated me. On a bright Thursday morning, I arranged a private meeting with our realtor, Mrs. Dunham, the same woman who had helped us close on the house 2 years ago. I brought every document, the deed, the mortgage papers, and the financing records, each one clearly showing the property was in my name alone. That afternoon, I called Samantha into the living room. She was lounging on the sofa, scrolling through her phone when I dangled the keys in front of her face. "Remember what you said?" I asked calmly. She squinted. "What are you talking about?" "Buy me a bigger house or we're over." "Those were your exact words." Her smirk faltered. "Well," I continued, "you'll get your wish." "You're over this house?" I dropped the keys onto the coffee table with a sharp clang. At that moment, the front door opened, and in stepped Mrs. Dunham. Samantha's eyes widened. "Mrs. Dunham? What are you doing here?" she stammered. The realtor adjusted her glasses, glancing at Samantha with professional detachment. "Per Mr. Lawson's instructions, I'm here to begin the transition process. You'll need to vacate the property within the next week. This house is reverting back under his sole possession." Samantha shot up from the couch, her face twisting with fury. "This is my home. You can't just—" Mrs. Dunham raised a hand. "Legally, it isn't yours. Your name isn't on the deed. I'll need you to remove your belongings so the property can be inspected." The humiliation hit Samantha like a tidal wave. She spun toward me, her voice shrill. "You're doing this to embarrass me? In front of her? In front of everyone?" But it wasn't just her. Because right then the realtor handed Samantha a printed notice. And standing in the doorway, drawn by the shouting, were her own parents, who had stopped by unannounced. They saw the papers, the realtor's stern face, and Samantha's crumbling mask. Her mother gasped. Her father muttered under his breath, "God help us." Samantha's carefully crafted image shattered in an instant. No amount of charm or excuses could cover the fact that she had just been evicted from the house she'd once bragged about hosting family dinners in. The silence was unbearable. Then, as if on cue, Samantha exploded. She lunged for the keys, screaming, "You can't do this to me!" But the clink of the realtor's pen on the legal documents was louder than her cries. The eviction wasn't just a punishment, it was a statement. This marriage wasn't about her demands anymore, it was about consequences. The fallout from that day spread faster than I anticipated. Within hours, Samantha's humiliation became the whispered gossip of the neighborhood. Our street wasn't huge, 30 or so homes, but word traveled quickly. By the weekend, everyone knew Samantha had been told to pack her things. She didn't take it quietly. The night after the realtor's visit, she stormed into the kitchen while I was pouring a glass of water. Her parents trailed behind, her mother tear-stained, her father stone-faced. "You think you won, James?" she hissed. "You embarrassed me in front of my family, in front of her. But you're not taking everything from me." Not without a fight, her mother clutched her arm, whispering frantically, "Samantha, stop, please." But Samantha yanked free, pointing at me. "He's cold. He's vindictive. And he's ruining my life because I dared to ask for more." Her father finally spoke, voice low but firm. "Samantha, you lied. You told us you had equal rights to this house. You never did." The air cracked with tension. Samantha's face twisted. Whose side are you on? She screamed at her father. Mine or his? He didn't answer. Instead, he walked out of the kitchen muttering something about self-destruction. Samantha's anger only escalated after that. She called her friends, old college roommates, co-workers from the real estate office, and spun her own version of the story. According to her, I was a manipulative husband who had trapped her financially. By Saturday, I received 3 separate phone calls from her friends, all variations of the same accusation. You can't just throw her out. You'll regret this. But I was prepared. Every charge on the house? Paid from my account? Every monthly mortgage? My paycheck. Even the furniture had receipts with my name on them. So when Samantha brought 2 of her friends to the house Sunday afternoon, storming in, demanding I do the right thing and let her stay, I was ready. I laid out the receipts on the dining table, each one in a neat folder. Mortgage statements, bank records, even the down payment transfer. Tell me, I said calmly, which one of these has Samantha's name on it? The room went quiet. Her friends shifted uncomfortably, eyes darting between Samantha and the papers. Samantha's face turned crimson. This is about principle, she shouted. About what I deserve after putting up with you. She slammed her fist on the table so hard a glass tipped and shattered on the floor. Her mother, pale and shaking, muttered, Enough, Samantha. Enough. But Samantha wasn't listening. She grabbed one of the folders, trying to rip the documents in half. I snatched it back before she could, my voice finally rising. You can tear paper, Samantha. But you can't tear the truth. The silence that followed was suffocating. Her friends quietly excused themselves, leaving Samantha standing in the ruins of her own tantrum. For the first time, I saw not just anger in her eyes, but fear. Because she realized the war she had started wasn't one she could win with charm or theatrics anymore. If humiliation was gasoline, Samantha was determined to set the whole house ablaze. The following week, she took the fight outside. She called my office. Not once, not twice. 4 times in a single morning. The receptionist, clearly uncomfortable, told me Samantha was warning us about my financial abuse. I almost laughed at the absurdity, but the laughter died quickly when my boss called me into his office. Ethan, he said carefully, your wife left a voicemail? Something about you forcing her out of the house? Should I be worried? I placed the folder of receipts on his desk, the same one I had shown her friends. My boss skimmed the documents, sighed, and waved me off. Don't worry. I just had to check Samantha wasn't done. By Thursday, I got an email from her real estate agency, her own coworkers. It was a bizarre, emotional plea. Rachel says you're sabotaging her career. If you care for her at all, let her keep the house so she has stability. I hit reply with one attachment. The hotel receipt. The one with Rachel's name, the keycard records, and the signature from the man she'd been showing houses to. Within an hour, the manager responded. Message received. This won't go any further, but the war zone moved back home on Friday night. Her parents had invited both of us for dinner, hoping to mediate. I almost declined, but part of me wanted everything out in the open, no more whispers. Halfway through dinner, Samantha slammed her wine glass down so hard it cracked. You think you're so clever, Ethan. You think you've destroyed me. But guess what? I talked to a lawyer. This house is marital property. Half of it is mine. Her father froze mid-bite. Her mother's fork clattered to the plate. I pulled out my phone. Did your lawyer also explain that you never filed the quitclaim deed? That the house was purchased 3 years before we even met? The color drained from her face. Stop twisting things, she shrieked. You want me homeless, humiliated? No, I said, voice steel. I want you honest. For once, and then, as if fate wanted to punctuate the moment, my daughter, our daughter, spoke up from the corner of the table, her little voice trembling. Mom, why did you say you wanted to live with Uncle Kevin instead of Dad? The room went silent. Samantha's fork slipped from her hand. Her parents stared at her like they didn't recognize the woman in front of them. Her mother whispered, "Samantha, please tell me she's lying." Samantha opened her mouth, then closed it again. No excuse came. For the first time, she had no script, no weapon. Just silence, and the echo of her daughter's voice hanging in the air like a final verdict. And in that silence, I realized the marriage wasn't just over. It was ashes. The silence at her parents' table didn't end with dinner. It carried into the following week, into every phone call Samantha tried to make, into the walls she had once leaned on for support. Her parents stopped returning her texts. Her brother unfollowed her on Instagram. Even her closest cousin, who had always cheered her on, sent me a quiet message. "I'm sorry for what she put you through." We see it now, but Samantha didn't retreat gracefully. No, she doubled down. On Monday, she stormed into my office lobby demanding to see me. Security had to escort her out after she started shouting that I had stolen her home and her future. That night, she posted a 10-minute rant on Facebook. Tears streaked her makeup as she declared herself a victim of an abusive husband who locked her out with nothing but spite. She claimed I manipulated our finances, brainwashed our daughter, and turned her own parents against her. For a few hours, it worked. Comments of sympathy poured in from people who didn't know the truth. "Stay strong, Samantha. Men can be so cruel, you'll rebuild." But then, the receipts surfaced. One of her coworkers, fed up with her theatrics, leaked the hotel folio I'd shown the agency. It spread through mutual circles like wildfire, the dates, the charges, the signed slips. Evidence so solid it cut through her performance like a blade. By morning, her Facebook post was flooded with comments of another kind. "This you? Didn't know showing houses cost $300 a night. Girl, stop embarrassing yourself." She deleted the video, then posted again, this time blaming me for fabricating documents. That lie didn't last long either because the detective's time-stamped footage had already reached her family group chat. Samantha, arm in arm with a man twice her age, checking into the same hotel she'd sworn she'd never seen. Her job suspended, her pending investigation clients pulled listings. Even her so-called friends distanced themselves, their silence louder than their words. The collapse was total. And yet, in the middle of it all, she tried one last maneuver. Through her lawyer, Samantha demanded spousal support. She wanted the court to believe she was entitled to half of everything, despite the pre-marriage deed, despite the financial records. I walked into the courtroom, calm. My folder of evidence was thick, airtight. When the judge asked if I had anything to present, I slid the hotel receipt across the bench. Then the surveillance photos. Then the notarized bank statements of her personal spending. The judge's eyes narrowed. Samantha's lawyer tried to object, but the gavel cut him short. The ruling was swift. The house remained mine. Custody leaned toward me. Spousal support? Denied. Samantha broke down in tears, sobbing in front of strangers, but this time there was no audience to cheer her on. Just cold silence and the sound of the judge moving on to the next case. That was the day I realized the collapse wasn't just legal, it was personal. Every lie she had built her image on had finally caved in, on her, not me. And as I walked out of the courtroom, holding Olivia's hand, Samantha called after us, voice hoarse and desperate. "You'll regret this, Ethan. You'll see." But all I felt was peace. For a few weeks after the court ruling, Samantha disappeared. No calls, no texts, not even her usual cryptic posts online. It was as if she had evaporated. I should have known better. Because Samantha didn't vanish. She was plotting. One Saturday morning, my phone buzzed with notifications. Friends, coworkers, even my sister were tagging me in a TikTok video. There she was. Samantha. Sitting in her childhood bedroom with tearful eyes and dramatic music playing softly in the background. The caption read, "When your husband throws you away after 10 years because you weren't enough." In the video, she told her version. I was a manipulator. I controlled her every move. I isolated her from friends. She claimed I hacked her accounts, planted fake receipts, and brainwashed our daughter into hating her. For a few hours, it worked. Strangers flooded the comments. Stay strong, Queen. He sounds toxic. Men like that don't deserve women like you. But then, justice came from the unlikeliest voice. Olivia. Someone leaked a clip from a school project where kids were asked to talk about a safe place. My daughter, tiny but steady, looked at the camera and said, My safe place is with my dad. Mom scares me when she yells. She said she wanted to live with Uncle Kevin, not us. The clip went viral overnight. Samantha's TikTok filled with comments tearing her apart. Your own kid exposed you. Stop playing victim. The receipts don't lie. By the next morning, her video was deleted. Her account too. But the damage was done. The story wasn't mine anymore. It belonged to everyone watching. Samantha had tried to weaponize strangers, but in the end, it was her own child's voice that silenced her. Her humiliation was complete. Clients avoided her name. Family disowned her lies. Online, she was a punchline. As for me, I didn't need to say a word. I didn't celebrate. I didn't gloat. Instead, I sat with Olivia on our porch, watching the Arizona sunset paint the sky orange and gold. She leaned against me and whispered, Daddy, we're safe now, right? I kissed the top of her head and nodded. Yes, Liv. We're safe. And for the first time in years, I actually believed it.